Can you do runner? Can you do runner show and all that?
Members of the media are invited to join the Honorable Marco Mendicino, Minister of Public Safety, for an announcement on the government's work to keep Canadians safe from gun violence. Les membres des médias sont invités à se joindre à l'honorable Marco Mendicino, ministre de la Sécurité publique, pour une annonce sur le travail du gouvernement pour protéger les Canadiens contre la violence par arme à feu. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you from the center.
Is this sound okay? Is the volume okay?
Yes, the volume is okay.
Perfect. I can hear you well. So do you need to test different microphones from your location?
Yes. So you can hear mic 1?
Yes.
Perfect. We'll test mic 2.
Testing. Mic 2, testing, mic 2.
So this is a lot lower.
Maybe it's me that's not projecting well. Oh, yeah, could be. Could be. Testing. Testing. Is that better?
It's pretty much the same.
Okay, good.
But is it audible? Is this okay?
It is audible, yes. It's just low.
Okay. We'll make sure that we accentuate or emphasize. Perfect. Thank you.
All right. So would you like for me to transfer you with the media and the call can start whenever you're ready?
Yes, you can transfer. If you can just tell the media again, we'll be starting shortly, and thank you for the patience. I think that'd be great.
Okay, so I'll do that. And after that, everything you will see from now on will be heard by the media.
Okay.
So please stand by. Thank you.
This conference is being recorded.
Hello, bonjour. My name is Joanne Kenya Baker, and I'm the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Specialist for the City of Markham. It is my pleasure to be with you here today. Bonjour tout le monde. Je m'appelle Joanne Kenya Baker et je suis spécialité de diversité, d'équité et de l'inclusion pour la ville de Markham. C'est un plaisir d'être avec vous aujourd'hui. But before I introduce everyone, I would like to begin today by acknowledging the traditional territories of Indigenous peoples and their commitment to the stewardship of the land. We acknowledge the communities in circle: the north, the west, the south, and the eastern directions, the Haudenosaunee, the Huron-Wendat, the Anishinaabe, the Seneca, Chippewa, and the current treaty holders, the Mississaugas of the Credit Peoples. We share the responsibility with the caretakers of this land to ensure the dish is never empty and to restore relationships that are based on peace, friendship, love, and understanding. We are committed to reconciliation and partnership with enhanced understanding. I'd like to welcome you all to this beautiful property, the Ani Center. Ani in Ojibwe means welcome. The name was chosen to welcome Markham's many diverse communities and in honor of our First Nations people. So today, we welcome you all. Today, the Honorable Marco Mendicino, Minister of Public Safety, will make a funding announcement to strengthen local efforts to counter the social conditions that lead to criminal behavior. Aujourd'hui, l'Honorable Marco Mendicino, Ministre de la Sécurité publique, fera une annonce de financement pour renforcer les efforts locaux visant à contrer les conditions sociales qui menent comportement criminel. To give you an idea of how today's event will unfold, we will hear brief remarks from the Minister and Mayor Scarpitti, followed by a question and answer section. Pour vous donner un aperçu du déroulement des événements aujourd'hui, nous entendrons d'abord de brèves allocutions du ministre Mendicino et la maire Frank Scarpitti, monsieur, suivent d'une période de questions et de réponses. So right now, I would like to welcome you, Mayor Mendicino. Thank you. Minister Mendicino.
That's fine. Merci, Joanne. Bon après-midi, tout le monde. Good afternoon. And I would like to thank you, Joanne, for the Indigenous Land Acknowledgement, for welcoming us here to the Ani Community Center. As you pointed out, the Ojibwe translation for that is to welcome, and certainly we feel the hospitality by you, Mayor Scarpitti. It's always good to be with you, my friend, and also to be joined by a number of friends and colleagues. We have with us MP Tony Van Bynen, we have MP Majid Jawari, and right behind me here, of course, MP Paul Jang. I also want to acknowledge that we're in my friend and colleague's Minister Ng's riding, and I know that she sends her very best as she is traveling abroad, but her support is with us today, and we're thankful for it. It's great to be in Markham. Markham is a wonderful and diverse and growing community. It's a great place to live, to work, and to raise a family. Neighbors look after one another, and many are so proud to call this community home. But like too many other communities across Canada, the peace and harmony on the streets of Markham have far too often been shattered by the sound of gunshots. Less than a month ago, the sound of gunshots reverberated at the intersection of Highway 407 and the 9th Line, and another life was lost. A 17-year-old with the majority of his days in front of him. I wish I could say this was a rare or isolated incident. Sadly, it's not. Across Canada, we've seen the same tragedy play out time and time again. The communities may be different, but the tragedies and the script are the same. Les Canadiennes s'inquiètent avec raison des crimes violents que nous continuons de voir dans nos quartiers comme nous l'avons vu ici. Une grande partie de cette violence est liée à l'activité des gangs. Cette activité se font de plus en plus dans des endroits publics, souvent en plein jour. C'est inacceptable et ça nous met tous en danger. Now, you can measure this through the numbers and statistics, and they are stark. Between 2009 and 2019, the criminal use of firearms increased by 81% across Canada. Or you can look at it through the eyes of parents and kids across this country. Last week, I had the opportunity to take my first domestic tour as Minister of Public Safety, and I was in British Columbia and in Manitoba. And in the community of Surrey, I had an opportunity to meet with community leaders there who recounted to me a recent incident where a gun was found in an elementary school. A gun found in an elementary school. As a parent, it's horrifying. As a Canadian, it's alarming. And as your Minister of Public Safety, I'm taking action. People in Markham and Surrey deserve to feel safe in their communities. Every Canadian deserves to feel safe in their communities. And that means taking more action to reduce gun violence. Our government has a focused action plan that will fight gun crime and keep Canadians safe. La protection des Canadiens contre la violence liée aux armes à feu et aux gangs est notre priorité absolue. Avec des lois solides, nous pouvons prendre des mesures pratiques, ciblées et mesurées pour protéger les Canadiens et même arrêter le trafic, le vol et le détournement des armes à feu. Nous avons aussi versé d'importants fonds pour les services policiers et les efforts communautaires pour lutter contre les crimes violents. Je sais que les policiers travaillent fort pour assurer notre sécurité, qu'il s'agisse de patrouilles ou d'enquêtes. We have a plan that rests on a number of pillars. We're reinforcing our borders to stop illegal guns from getting into the country. We've banned deadly firearms to prevent them from getting into the hands of criminals. And we're building safer communities. Our plan is well underway. At our borders, our government has invested significant federal funding to give RCMP and CBSA the tools and the resources that they need to fight illegal gun smuggling and to stop firearms from coming into Canada. And again, I had the opportunity to meet with various branches of law enforcement, both in British Columbia and Manitoba last week, where I saw firsthand the technology that is being used, the canine units, the dogs that are inspecting vehicles and individuals. And I'm reassured that we are making tremendous progress at our official ports of entry. In fact, last year in 2021, we had a record year when it comes to arresting and seizing firearms, and that is a reflection of this government's commitment to give law enforcement all of the tools they need to stop illegal trafficking at our borders. We've also introduced stronger and responsible gun controls, including a ban on assault-style weapons like AR-15s, which guns have no other purpose than to kill. Now, this order in council, which was issued in May of 2020, has already seen more than 1,500 different firearms from being prohibited from being sold in Canada. And in the near future, we will be launching a mandatory buyback program to now get these guns out of our communities and off our streets. Today, we're here to talk about how we're going to build safer communities. Now, we put a lot of emphasis on introducing strong gun controls. We put a lot of emphasis on investing in law enforcement, but we also have to tackle the root causes of gun violence in the first place. the conditions that spur someone, especially young people, from making the wrong choices, getting involved in organized crime, picking up a gun, and using it. There was a quote that struck me from a parent of a young boy who was killed as a result of a gun crime. And he said, "No kid wakes up at 13 years old and says, 'I'm going to be a gang member today.' They might do terrible things, but at the end of the day, they found themselves there, and often they don't even know how the hell they got there." We need to help those kids so that they make the right choices in the first place. And even more importantly, we need to keep them from getting into those positions in the first place. And that's what brings us here today. To help stop gun violence before it even starts, I'm very proud to announce new federal funding support through the Building Safer Communities Fund, supported by a $250 million investment in federal funding. The program will provide funds directly to municipalities and Indigenous communities, who will then distribute them to local organizations focusing on young people who are involved in or at risk of joining gangs. I'm also pleased to announce that this $250 million investment will include a $7.3 million allocation right here for the City of Markham. Pour mettre fin à la violence des armes à feu avant même qu'elle ne commence, je suis très fier d'annoncer un nouveau appui fédéral avec les fonds pour des communautés plus sûres, soutenues par un financement fédéral de 250 millions de dollars. Au cours des 5 prochaines années, le programme fournira des fonds aux municipalités et aux communautés autochtones qui les distribueront ensuite à des organisations locales axées sur les jeunes qui font partie de gangs ou qui risquent d'en faire partie. Each community's amount will be based on population and crime rates so that funding will get to the communities who need it the most. And this will ensure that smaller towns and Indigenous communities with a high crime rate will also receive the support that they need. This builds on the success of our initiative to take action against gun and gang violence, which has devoted over $350 million in the last 5 years to tackle the increase in gun-related violence and gang activity in Canada. Le financement pour les communautés au Québec sera déterminé en collaboration avec le gouvernement provincial dans le respect des compétences du gouvernement de Québec. Je souhaite également faire le point sur le décret d'amnistie que la compagnie de l'interdiction des armes à feu de type OSSO de 1er mai 2020 et qui bénéficiera d'une prolongation administrative jusqu'au 30 octobre 2023. Cela donnera le temps aux fonctionnaires de finaliser et de mettre en œuvre un solide programme de rachat obligatoire et permettra aux propriétaires d'armes à feu et aux entreprises de prendre toutes les mesures raisonnables pour se conformer à la loi. As I conclude today, I want to leave you with a few parting thoughts. No single initiative or measure holds the solution to gun violence. I've been engaging in the short few months that I've had this job with advocates right across the country, including a very important conversation that I had today. And it struck me that there are many different causes that lead to gun violence across this country. And there's no one magic wand that we can wave, no one solution that we can put into place to solve the problem. It requires a multifaceted approach. It requires a strategy with a number of pillars that, yes, puts into place the necessary strong and responsible gun controls, including a ban on deadly firearms. Yes, it requires continuing to invest in law enforcement so that we can stop the illegal trafficking of guns, deadly guns that get into our communities at our borders. It involves investing in law enforcement so that we can have public safety and public order in our communities. And yes, it equally requires us to tackle the root causes of gun crime in the first place, addressing squarely the systemic challenges that lead to young people and other people who are at risk in priority communities so that they make the right choices and not the wrong choices. And that means building safer and more resilient communities, and that is exactly what the purpose of this fund does today. It allows us to take a more holistic and comprehensive approach so that we can tackle gun violence together from coast to coast to coast, from community right across the country. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so proud to have been able to make this announcement today here in the city of Markham. And with that, I will turn it back to our moderator, Joanne. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you so much, Minister, for those wonderful remarks. Merci beaucoup. And now I would like to invite Markham's Mayor, Mayor Frank Scarpitti, to share his remarks. You're welcome.
Council Tony Van Bynen from Newmarket, Aurora, Majid Jarawi, MP for Richmond Hill, and a piece of Markham as well. Thank you for being here this afternoon. And also very pleased to be here with Paul Chang, who's the MP for Markham Unionville, and also former York Regional Police officer with us for many years. And I want to thank him not only for his work in our community, but the great work that he continues to do as a member of the Public Safety Committee. I want to thank all of you for joining us here at the City of Markham. And in a community center, I think that reflects what community is all about, coming together to support each other, investing in our youth, and certainly making everyone feel welcome and included in our community. And we know here at the City of Markham the importance of investing in youth. As Mayor and our Council, we actually moved the construction of this community center forward by several years. Why? Because we knew that there was an incredible amount of youth in the surrounding area that needed access to the programs that are here. To Minister Mendicino, I want to say thank you, Minister, for your excellent leadership and commitment to combating gun violence across Canada. I applaud the federal government for its bold steps. It truly is incumbent on all of us, communities and governments, working together, raising our voices, and ensuring that we're doing everything we can to combat gun violence in our communities. But truly, this government has taken action not only against gun violence itself, but really getting to the root causes of gang and gun violence. It's initiatives like the Building Safer Community Funds that will make a difference in many cities and communities across this country. And I can tell you that as a member of the GTA Mayors and Chairs Group, we have been calling on the federal and provincial governments to take meaningful action against gun violence. Our communities have had enough, and our residents want action to be taken. And I thank you, Minister, for answering that call to action. Your government is taking bold steps to restrict access to guns, but increasing opportunities for our youth. I applaud the federal government for their multi-dimensional approach. It's what the mayors have been asking for, ramping up the tremendous efforts at the borders so that guns don't come through the borders and land on our streets, banning assault-style firearms, and for creating this significant investment where it is needed most, in preventative programs for our youth. I'm very pleased to see this announcement today, and I want to thank the Government of Canada for their significant investment of $250 million for the Building Safer Communities Fund. And a bit of a surprise, and I thank you for the $7 million that the City of Markham will receive, and I want to assure you, Minister, that we will do our utmost to make sure that that goes to worthwhile organizations in our community and to the youth that need it the most. I believe that investing in our youth, particularly marginalized youth, will give youth the support that they need. Through great organizations in our communities and through their programs, we want to make sure that youth have a sense of belonging, that they get a sense of purpose, and that they can have a meaningful and productive life. This will make our streets, our neighborhoods, and our communities not only safer, but stronger. This investment is critical. It's preventative, because let's face it, when the 911 call comes in, everything we do after that is a reaction. But today's announcement is being proactive. The BSCF Fund will invest in the communities themselves, supporting local organizations who really are on the front line, directly supporting children, youth, and adults at risk. And with the support of this fund, organizations are better equipped to educate and empower young people to lead lives free of crime and free of gun violence. So, Minister, I want to say thank you for coming to Markham. Markham in 2021 was actually designated as the second safest community in all of Canada. But you know what? That's small comfort to a family who's lost a loved one because of gun violence. So, Minister, thank you for answering the call to action from the mayors, from the families, and from communities across Canada. Thank you, and we look forward to your government to ensure the success of this program. Thank you.
Thank you for those remarks, Mayor Scarpitti, and for corroborating the message that we heard. And now I will pass this along to my colleague, Gabe, who will be taking questions from the media. Over to you, Gabe.
Thank you, Joanne. We will now be opening the floor for questions. To give everyone a chance to participate, please limit yourself to one question and one follow-up. Please begin your questions by identifying yourself and naming the media outlet you will be representing. Also, we would be grateful if you could specify which speaker you would like to direct your questions to. We have one in the room.
Hi, I'm Robin from Omni. This question is for the mayor. So it has been reported that Markham Town Square is proposed into a development of high-density, tall commercial buildings. However, there are plenty of obstacles to overcome, including zoning amendments, as well as other series of public meetings and consultations with the residents. I was hoping you can give me what is the current stage of this application, and what are your comments on this issue?
Well, I'd be happy to speak to you after this press conference. I do really want to stay focused on this incredible announcement that the Government of Canada has made today, really supporting communities and organizations that are going to support youth in our communities and making our communities safer. But very quickly, the application has come in. As everyone knows, it's the right of landowners in the province of Ontario. They can submit whatever applications they want, and then it's up to us to evaluate those applications. And absolutely, I can assure the community that this application will not undergo not only the legislative requirements, the review that we must undertake as a municipality, but it will be done with the consultation of the neighborhood. And I've made it clear very early on to the landowner there, as much as I think it is time perhaps to redevelop the property, it has to be done in a respectful way with the surrounding community that's there. So we'll be working with the community, working with the applicant through that process and understanding, not to belabor it, but there's all kinds of processes that the applicant can undertake as well. And I hope that they will work with the city to reach a conclusion that is respectful of the existing neighborhood.
Before I open the line back to the operator, is anybody else in the room who would like to offer a question? Operator, please proceed with your first question.
Thank you. Merci. You may press star 1 if you have a question. Stephanie Levitz from the Toronto Star. Please go ahead.
My question is from Minister Mendicino. I'd like to understand why the amnesty in relation to assault weapons has been pushed back for over a year.
Well, I appreciate the question. The purpose of extending the amnesty period is to allow us to take the additional steps to launch the mandatory buyback program, which of course is the back-end brace to the Order in Council, which banned military-style and AR-15-style firearms back in March of 2020. These are guns that were designed with one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to kill people. That's why we put in place the Order in Council. In fairness to those who possess those guns, we issued the amnesty order, and we are now making sure that we get the launch of that mandatory buyback program right. We're working on it very urgently. We hope to have something launched in the very short term, including a fair compensation scheme, so that we can then sunset the amnesty period. And obviously going forward, we have seen a number of additional models since March of 2020 that were fit within the classification of the Order in Council, which are prohibited from being either sold or trafficked or imported into Canada. And so this shows the ongoing positive impact of having the Order in Council in place. But obviously we want to get the mandatory buyback program launched as quickly as possible.
Just as a follow-up, you've had 2 years to launch the buyback program, and now you're saying two things at the same time. You're saying that it's going to launch in the very near future, but also that you need an additional almost 18 months to launch it. So what's the holdup? And when you say near future, what do you mean? Is the buyback program going to launch in another 18 months in conjunction with the end of the amnesty, or what's the timeline you're working with?
Yeah, look, just to clarify, we're not saying it's going to take 18 months at all to launch this program. We hope to have a launch much faster than that. I would say that, be looking for news. Certainly, we hope this spring, if not as quickly as possible. I appreciate the urgency from communities across this country that want to see the buyback program introduced. There has been a lot of significant work that has been done into the modeling of it. We have to make sure that we have a system that is set up in place. We want to be sure that we are communicating accurate information to those who either want to deactivate their firearms, which are caught by the prohibition, or surrender them to law enforcement. We've got to make sure that that system is done and implemented safely and securely. And finally, as I mentioned before, we also are putting into place the building blocks for a fair compensatory scheme for those individuals who had previously lawfully possessed those guns, which are now prohibited. We get the urgency, we get the sense of desire from the communities right across the country, and we are going to get it done.
Thank you. Merci. As a reminder, you may press star 1 if you have a question. Vous appuyez sur étoile 1. Si vous avez une question, la prochaine question de Michel Sabat, la presse canadienne. Please go ahead, la parole est à vous.
Oui, bonjour. La question est pour le ministre Mendicino. Donc, premièrement, lorsque vous dites que le financement sera accordé au Québec et déterminé en collaboration avec le gouvernement provincial, pouvez-vous me confirmer que ce sera versé au prorata de la population du Québec?
Oui, merci pour la question et je viens de discuter cet enjeu avec mon homologue, la ministre Guilbeault, pendant les dernières quelques journées. Nous avons commencé un processus pour pour obtenir un engagement avec le gouvernement de Québec qui respectait leurs compétences, leur juridiction. C'est une juridiction et compétence qui est bien établie au Québec, mais je suis en train de continuer cette conversation avec mon homologue et je suis très optimiste qu'on va obtenir une solution qui est très pragmatique, très pratique, qui fonctionne pour la province de Québec.
Et puis, pourquoi prolonger l'amnistie liée au programme de rachat d'armes à feu?
Comme j'avais mentionné dans la dernière question, c'est un programme sans précédent au Canada. Ça, c'est la première fois que notre pays a un programme comme ça, un rachat obligatoire pour les armes comme les AR-15. Donc, il faut procéder avec un mécanisme, un programme qui est très efficace, qui est juste les Canadiens et les Canadiennes qui a acheté leurs armes à feu, qui est maintenant pas prohibé par la loi. Donc, on veut procéder avec beaucoup d'urgence. Je sais que les communautés veulent que ce programme mette en place sur le terrain. Ça, c'est le dévouement de notre gouvernement. Ça, c'est le dévouement de mon ministère. Et on va prendre l'action concrète dans le court terme.
Thank you. Merci. There are no further questions on the phone lines. I would like to turn the meeting back over to Mr. Coruscant.
Operator, we have time for one more question. Is there anyone on the line?
I'm sorry, there are no further questions.
Well, that is it for today. This concludes today's event. If you have any additional questions, please email our Media Relations Services team at psmediarelations@ps-sp.gc.ca. Thank you so much. Take care.
Merci.